Society.
Strangers. Strangers in society.
Strangers on the internet.
The secret.
Strangers.
Society. Oh, welcome, stranger.
Secret to society.
Strangers. Society.
Welcome to the secret society.
Strangers? Welcome back to the Secret Society of Strangers podcast. I'm Lee. I'm here with Jamie.
Hi.
Yeah. Hello. We have a guest today, Alex.
Hi, everybody.
Alex is a hypnotherapist, a quantum healer, a psychic, life coach, mindfulness teacher, a meditating teacher. Anything I've missed?
Remote viewer.
That's a big one.
Yeah. Basically, now I am healer. I am healer in a spiritual way.
Perfect. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into becoming a healer and unlocking those gifts that you have?
First of all, thank you for having me on the show. It's a privilege to be here and sharing what I learned in my over 30 years of doing strange stuff.
That's perfect. We want to hear all about that.
So my motivation is to inspire people that are young, that are looking for such things, to go for it. You know, don't be afraid to just try new things. You know, take risks, calculated risks. You know, to practice, to experience, not only read. You know, so because I went through this path when I was 15. Now I am 48. When I was 15, I started reading books about how to leave the body, about reincarnation, about UFOs. So it was a long time ago, and it was like reading, but then I started to feel I want to experience that. Not only read about it and guess if this is true or not, but I want to have the experience.
Right.
So step by step, I started trying different techniques, you know, meditation, astral travel techniques, out-of-body techniques, and I tried to use natural power of the mind, not using any shortcuts in the form of any plants or drugs. I wanted to do it. I had the feeling that I can do it without any helping, substances that then I will be attached to or dependent on. So step by step, through all these years, I tried all types of things. You know, leaving the body, astral traveling, lucid dreaming. Of course, meditation and connecting with the higher self during meditation, remote viewing, automatic writing, and I always was very careful, you know, about protection, about not. I had a feeling that, you know, in this reality of polarity that we are. You need to put intention, you know, to connect only with the high vibration energies.
Right. Yes.
Intention is very powerful. So step by step, now looking back on my life, I saw that everything was perfectly pre-planned, step by step, like a stairs. And now I'm here, and it's not the end. You know, it's like a joy of exploration, joy of unfolding, uncovering, you know, new things.
Right.
So balance between theory, reading, and practice, experience. It's very important.
What would you recommend to anyone who is like you, who is wanting to explore that kind of stuff? What would you recommend reading to get into it to begin with? Like I like Neville Goddard or the Monroe Institute with the Gateway tapes, that kind of stuff. What do you recommend? Anything else that we haven't heard of, maybe?
Yes. So it's a tricky question because everybody is unique. You know,
Right.
in my work as a quantum healer or shamanic practitioner,
Mm-hmm.
I see that every person is on different vibration or frequency.
Sure. Yeah.
So, for example, if somebody is on the starting and on low frequency, I would probably recommend Monroe also,
Mm-hmm.
because it's for starting, you know. But also there is a very good author from Australia, Robert Bruce.
Okay.
Bruce, he wrote way back, you know, when the internet started. He
Okay.
shared his experiences, out of body experiences, and his
Really?
very effective technique of rope technique, getting out of the body, and also has very nice technique of working with energy, with chakras, cleansing chakras, unblocking energy body, meridians. It's very effective,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I recommend it. So I would start from that.
Okay.
Working with your energy body, your
Mhm.
chakras and meridians to clean, so the energy can flow. As a healer, as a
Mm-hmm.
shamanic practitioner, I see that a lot of people have blockages because of trauma, because of all kinds of spiritual and energetical origins, and the energy doesn't flow, and it creates problems.
Mm-hmm.
Mental, physical problems, and during therapy, I'm assisting people to remove these blockages.
Okay, so I had a spontaneous Kundalini awakening followed by a near-death experience, and that's what turned like me from not believing in any of this to realizing like, oh my God, there's way more to this reality than I realized. So I didn't realize what was happening when I had the Kundalini awakening. Like everything looks like the chakras just shook straight into place, and then whoosh, the energy. And I mean, it scared the shit out of me. So what would you say to anyone who is delving into this? Like, I feel like there has to be some sort of disclaimer of like if you want this, you can have it, but it's almost like once you have it, you can't unhave it. And it can be, in my experience, pretty heavy at first to come to like grips with what you realize is like a new reality for you. And I think especially when you are surrounded by friends and family who have not had the experience, it makes you feel very isolated, which is why we really started, or at least started the podcast. But that's fine. Josh, the other person who can't be here, he just started a job, and me, like, that's why we're here. We connected with each other because we didn't have anybody else to talk to about it.
Okay.
Or we could, but it was kind of like light, you know. But like, we have real experiences, and we really needed to talk to other people. So what would you suggest to anyone as far as like the psychic, the protection you were talking about, like when it happens, if it happens for you, like it's a big deal. So what do you say to people?
So what you described in your case was spiritual emergency. A lot of people start the awakening through emergency like that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it's not coincidence. You just chose this experience.
Yeah.
So you know, you wanted to have this experience, and you had it. But also
I didn't know what I wanted, though. I didn't know I wanted it, and I'm glad I had it. But I had no idea what was in store for me.
Yes. But so part of the population that are awakening, they go through this emergency.
Yeah.
Another type is spiritual emergence. That is very gradual, it's my story. It's my story. It was very gradual. This is what I wanted for this incarnation, for this lifetime.
Okay.
That it will be very gradual, so I can share it later with people. Why we have these experiences? If we come here as humans to help others, if we are healers, teachers, bring high vibration to this planet, we have these difficult experiences in order for us to later share our story, like we are doing now. So others can connect and be motivated, be encouraged, to follow it.
Yeah.
So from the human perspective, from the human mind perspective, egoic mind perspective, we see the world as chaotic, random, and unjust, for example.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
this is the common view. But in my work, when I speak with the higher selves collective, everybody has a higher self. It's your intuition, it's your oversoul that you are part of, aspect of, as human. Usually we are 5, 10, 15, 20% of our total soul incarnating, because the human body would not contain the whole soul. So the rest of us is the higher self, or total soul, or oversoul, whatever you want to call it. And this higher self, you, is guiding you through life, through your intuition, your gut feeling, your heart, not your thinking, but your heart.
Right.
So when you start meditating, for example, and start listening to this voice in the heart, this intuition more and more, it becomes stronger connection. And then you have all the perfect guidance you want.
Exactly.
You have everything.
Yeah.
So we have perfect guidance, but the system that we are diving into when we are born as a human, the system here is for you to forget, to become like a robot in the matrix, just be educated, to do some special task and then you do this task, so-called job, you have family, you get old and die. And this is like repeated all the time. So this is the system. But now, because the earth is vibrating higher, more and more people are awakening, and they start to feel this perfect guidance. The intuition becomes stronger for people. So no matter if you have spiritual emergency or spiritual emergence, the best thing you can focus on is to connect with your higher self, connect with your intuition strongly, because then you have perfect guidance in every moment. Not only when you are meditating, not only when you are doing any type of ritual or technique, but in every moment, really. So it takes work. It will not happen overnight, but it's the joy of exploration. It's the joy of uncovering and growing,
Yeah.
It will be boring. It will be boring if you just, know everything in one moment,
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And it would be disconnected from what other people have. So you have to go through this gradual awakening, which can take 50 years,
Yeah.
You had like a jump start. You as this, Kundalini, it is like a jump start. You awakened. But now it's not the end, it's still infinite path to the totality.
And I feel like, and I could be wrong, but I feel like our listeners are probably kind of like maybe where I am, where we've had an experience and it's like, okay, what do we now do with this? Like it's not, it could be a burden, but you can turn it into a gift if you can share it and help other people. That's what I think you're saying. So what I find interesting is the idea of quantum healing. Can you explain what that is exactly and how you would do that?
human language is very limited. We use words. And higher self, or the beings of light, or advanced extraterrestrials of high vibrations, they have this frustration of that they need to communicate with us using words that are very limited. So the label quantum healing, the label of shamanic journeying, the label of hypnotherapy, it's basically very natural, ancient method how you can, in your deep trance, connect with everything. With the source, with your higher self, with your past lives, with any place and any time. So in my 30 years of different techniques that I tried, it's basically all the same. You are entering into a state, expanded state, where the mind is not interfering, and with your intention, you are doing whatever you want to do. You can heal others, you can gain information, you can travel, and many other things. You can cleanse energetically. So I started as a student of Dolores Cannon. Dolores Cannon, I don't know if you are aware of her.
Yep, I'm familiar, yeah.
So she created this technique, quantum healing technique. And it's basically assisting a person to enter into this state when the person cannot enter by themselves. I had so many clients telling me, oh, I meditate, and I cannot have any experience. I don't see nothing, Like yesterday I had a lady from Canada, and she told me, I went to many hypnotherapists, and they said, I don't know what is wrong with you. We cannot hypnotize you. Your eyes are moving, but she didn't experience anything. So during consultation, I do free consultations, like half hour. Anybody can have free half-hour consultation with me. And sometimes when we are exploring the issues, I do a quick exercise. In very quickly, she entered into this internal awareness. She started to see her body in an energetical way, spiritual way. And she started talking, she started talking during the quantum session or this expanded state. The person is talking the most. I am just asking questions. So she entered into this state very quickly, in 2 minutes, 3 minutes. My assistance is about, breathing. I guide the person about breathing and visualization. That's all. My voice, my energy. And she started seeing that there is a cloud in her head, like a gray cloud. And also she noticed that there is like a 3D star-shaped gray structure around her heart.
Really?
This is what she told me.
Wow.
I didn't say nothing, I just ask her, what do you notice? What do you feel? So this is called indirect hypnotherapy, that I am not suggesting anything. The client is exploring their own universe. Everybody has their own universe. And so we started working with it, I suggested for her to do something about this cloud. We worked on cleansing the cloud from the brain, and we removed the structure from the heart. And under the structure of the heart, I asked her, what do you see there? What is there in your heart? And she said, oh, I see beautiful rainbow-colored flower. Every petal has different color, and it's turning. She saw her chakra.
Really?
Yeah. So I guided her to bring light, golden light from the source God into this chakra, into her mind. And she started experience, and I asked her, what do you experience? I asked, and she said, oh, I experience happiness, calm, peace. And I feel like I am swinging on the swing. Sun. So I said to her, feel this feeling of swinging in the swing in the sun.
Okay.
Go deeper into this. And she started saying, oh, I am a small girl,
Mm.
with other children, and there's my mom. But I feel distance to my mom. I feel like I don't want to be with her, and so on. And so we started to heal the relationship with her mom, and so on. So
That's beautiful.
this is what I do, and every session is different. Every person is different. We can be in any time, any place in the creation during the session.
Yeah. Which we did an episode on time travel. And that was what I brought to the table is like, you can time travel anytime. You just meditate and go back in your memories, and you can shift and change and heal any time, any place. But what I find fascinating is how quickly you're able to get someone who couldn't do it on their own to actually get them to that space, which is pretty impressive, and that you did it that quickly. And so that kind of your experience, like because I know Dolores Cannon with the 3 waves of volunteers, and I have had QHHT done, like the hypnotherapy. I've done that a couple of times, and it is very effective. So what would you tell people who are feeling like they might want to be in the healing space? Is that something you would recommend to get the training in QHHT?
Well, again, if they feel, again, it's about the feeling in your heart.
Falling,
it's not
right?
for everybody. It's not for everybody, and
Okay.
I actually don't label myself as QHHT anymore,
Gotcha.
because
Okay.
I was guided by my higher self
Mm-hmm.
to be trained into things like, during the sessions, higher self started to show me that there are attached spirits to people.
Okay.
Higher self started to show me that there are curses and black magic and voodoo on people.
Okay.
So they encouraged me to read, to go through courses, learn, about these things,
Mm-hmm.
about soul fragmentation,
Ah,
about emotions that are
Okay.
toxic.
Okay.
And then Dr. Hawking's research, everything comes together, like
Mhm.
one nice modality that I am now using.
Okay.
And it's my guidance, everybody has different guidance. So for example, when I'm speaking with, the person is in the altered state, and I'm speaking with the higher self. The person is channeling the higher self in the second part of the session,
Mhm.
like you did QHHT. And I ask the higher self, what is the best way for him or her move forward after the session? And this is very big variety of answers. For some, it will be start meditating. For others, will be start dancing, for example. For her, this was the last session, full session that I had for Lady in UK. The higher self, we healed the feeling of being trapped and being stuck. She had this feeling generally in her life and also in her home. Turned out, the higher self took her to the few hundred years ago, where she was being born in another life, and she was stuck in the birth canal.
Really?
Oh, okay.
She left the body, and the body went out blue. So it was like a very powerful, traumatic birth and death in one moment. So you can imagine how big wound it created,
Yes.
in the mind and cellular structure. So when she started to experience that and observe this, suddenly she started crying and crying very strongly, the sadness, all these trapped, suppressed emotions from this few hundred years ago, this birth, stillbirth, was still there, and it created this feeling of being trapped, and she couldn't do anything in her life, like she was sitting in her home most of her time. She's completely able to do many things, but this trauma created this feeling that I cannot do anything, I am trapped. So after this release, she messaged me 2 days later and said, wow, I feel so free now. I can do anything. So this is another example. So I'm just telling you that everybody is so unique. If you have a feeling in yourself that you want to explore something, for example, let's say a person is very excited about something. You feel excitement, you feel passion, you feel like alive when you, for example, read about something or you pursue some area, let's say healing, let's say teaching, let's say meditation, or yoga, whatever. Follow it. Follow the path. Follow your heart. You cannot go wrong.
Okay.
Don't overthinking.
Right.
The enemy is your egoic mind that is doubting, that is telling you things like, oh, who do you think you are? For example. The best thing to how to deal with the mind is not to fight it, not to demonize it. Just love your mind and adopt it as your pet. If you like dogs, adopt your mind as your dog. If you like cats, adopt it as your small cat that has megalomaniac tendencies, is not very intelligent, is useful sometimes, very negative, very critical. Just adopt it as your
smart
pet and love it for what it is. It's just, animalistic mind, remnant of animalistic, tendency for survival. Fear and aggression is the main what the mind does. Fear and aggression. So
I like
I do too.
it allows you to give yourself more compassion, because I certainly give my pets more compassion than I do myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I came home to grass throw up yesterday. Did I get mad at my dog? Of course not. Sometimes they just throw up grass if they've eaten it, And I love her anyway. I would never, ever get mad at her for doing that. And I think that's really beautiful. It reminds me of the book, The 4 Agreements. And the first agreement is be impeccable with your word. And it doesn't mean be impeccable with your word to other people. It means be impeccable within your own mind, with yourself, with the words that you're using for yourself. And remember that to be your own best friend. Like you wouldn't talk to your best friend that way, or your dog that way. So I think that's absolutely brilliant.
Okay, but it's important to understand you are not your mind. This is the first step. It's not you talking to you in critical way or negative way. It's your mind that you have. So one of the ancient yogic meditations is called silent witness meditation. Everybody can do it. It's very easy, but you need to practice it. And the silent meditation technique silent witness technique is very simple. Imagine that you are sitting on the bank of the river, and the river is your mind stuff. You are just watching the river, and in this river there are thoughts, there are judgments, there are feelings, whatever, images, memories. You are just watching it. You are not in the river. And you practice not being pulled into the river by these things in the river. You are just detached on the bank.
Okay.
In this way, you will actually experience that you are not your mind. That, for example, let's say your higher self is telling you you need to learn how to create, for example, herbal remedies. You just love plants, you love mixing plants, you like to do oils, and this is your passion. But your mind is telling you, but you are lazy, you cannot do it, you have other things to do, such things.
Mhm.
And when you think that you are your mind, you are taking these negative thoughts as absolute truth, that this is reality. But when you practice mindfulness, when you practice this detachment, this silent witness meditation, with time you start to notice that these are just opinions of my pet. So imagine the difference, see the difference. You have the thought, you are worthless and you cannot do it. It's out of your possibilities. Your mind is telling you. And when you think you are your mind, you are just taking it as the face value. Just you are accepting it, you are eating it,
Right.
you are buying it. And then when you practice this silent witness meditation or any meditation that teaches you how to detach yourself from the mind, then it becomes, okay, I am aware that my pet have an opinion about me, which is not true.
Mhm.
It completely doesn't
Mhm.
affect you. You just follow your intuition, follow your higher self, and you do whatever you want. You are not blocked.
It almost feels like we are gamers somewhere else, and we incarnated here as the character. Like this is just an avatar. I'm preloaded with certain characteristics and things, and I have to figure out how to best use this character.
Yes.
Like I have to break through the what I would consider limiting barriers that are not really, that I really have a choice. I could do just about anything if I wanted to, because I'm in charge of this reality. Would you agree with that?
Yes, but also you came here for a reason. Everybody came here for a reason. We came here to learn, to experience, to grow, to be wiser and stronger because of this experience. So you can see it as a training simulator. It doesn't mean it doesn't matter. It matters,
Right.
because you as a soul, because you are a soul, you are an eternal being. You are not a human. We are not a human. We are just playing humans. It's a grand theater, grand simulation. So you came here, you agreed to come here because you wanted to learn something, experience something, and grow in some areas. I will give you examples because I am so fortunate to have a lot of examples for my work. So, for example, I had a client from Spain, young man, now politician. He was quite prominent politician in Spain. In the quantum session, the higher self took him, because the higher self is guiding us during the session, what we need to heal or experience for the client to move forward, unblock the client or heal the client. So in his case, the higher self took him to a life when he was a Roman army, ancient Rome general.
Wow.
Invading Alexandria in Egypt. So he was leading an army of destroying, killing people. They were very powerful. So, and they achieved Alexandria, and I always was, the library of Alexandria was burned, and humanity lost a lot of knowledge because of it. So I asked him in this life as this general, and he was very rough, very, different personality that this, mellow guy from Spain. He actually took on this personality of rough, brutal, violent general.
Really?
Yes. And I asked him, what happened with this library of Alexandria? Did you give order to burn it? And he said, no, I don't know anything about it. It just happened. So it was like an accident, like he said, soldiers just were pillaging and raping and killing, whatever they could. So I moved him later to the last day of his life, and he was actually backstabbed in Rome. It was some political struggle, and somebody from his trusted friends stabbed him in the back when he was a little older, and he died. He left the body. And after he left the body, he didn't go to hell. Because that doesn't work like this. I will digress here.
Mm-hmm.
The concept of hell is actually inserted into religions by darkness, by low vibration agents, to create fear and shame and guilt, and it creates a lot of suffering. This idea of hell.
Yeah.
So even this general that was creating all this suffering, he went to the light. He left the body, and he was going to the tunnel, and he entered the light, afterlife, in the higher dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
But after reviewing the life with the guide, the soul said, now I remember why I wanted this life. I wanted this life because I wanted to learn what is cruelty. I wanted to learn what is cruelty because it's so exotic concept for me, like a soul, because soul is from, higher dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
So I came to Earth, have this experience, but I know that now I was giving cruelty. I started by giving cruelty, but now I will receive cruelty to fully understand what it is.
Oh, okay.
Fascinating.
So this is the example of what soul want to learn on such planet as Earth, because Earth is only one small grain on the infinite beach of many universes. Even this one universe is huge, So this is karma. Karma is not fear-based. Karma is love-based. It's about lessons. It's about learning from different perspective the same thing.
Yeah.
Like in this case.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
So.
And go ahead. I'm sorry, Lee. Go ahead.
Okay, so coming from past life traumas, is it possible for your soul, as you're incarnate as a human, to kind of forget its karmic purpose, or does your higher self kind of remind you through intuition, or can you be like a lost soul and then pass away and then remember without gaining any of your purpose or goal?
Remembrance of our past lives is actually not needed, for karma to work. Actually, imagine that you would remember, let's say, 100 lifetimes of trauma, lost relationships, all the, suffering. You would not be able to function in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
So amnesia that we have as humans is for this reason, that you are focused on your current lessons and challenges in this lifetime. You can see every lifetime as another class in very long university on this planet.
Yeah.
If you would say, let's say that Earth is like a university of low vibration. Okay? You come to this university to learn about low vibration. Killing, stealing, betrayal, abandonment, narcissistic relationships, all this stuff. This is where you come. This is where you come as a soul to such planet, because it's not the only such planet of low vibration. So before you incarnate, you plan with your teachers, you plan with your mentors in this afterlife, in the higher dimensions, what you will learn, what you will go through. And intuition is your helper in passing the exams correctly. So, for example, let's say another example. In one session, after the death of the body in another life, the client start to talk with the spirit guide. And spirit guide said, "Congratulations. In this lifetime, you conquered jealousy after 800 years of trying.
Wow.
Congratulations. Now we can go to another class, For example, stop controlling others, for example."
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
From now, people on this planet can have this knowledge. Before, it was too much. People would not be able to understand it. So now this knowledge is coming through different channels, different teachers, different experiences. For example, near-death experience is huge in teaching people, about the other reality. So I am assisting people to have such similar experience without any trauma, any accident. You don't have to have an accident to go into the light and speak with your spirit guides,
Yeah.
So about lost soul, what do you mean by lost soul?
You did a pretty good job answering it. Like, your intuition will kind of keep you from wandering and just being lost. It'll keep you on your path. I just find it fascinating you bring up like that the higher self family was happy and like celebrating, because I've listened to so many near-death experiences, and that's one of the reoccurring factors, is that you have like this supportive group of spirits or energy that is like 100% rooting for you all the time, which it's just amazing that everyone says the same thing and it's almost exactly the same.
Because it's true.
I know.
And we all have it. We're all being rooted on.
Yes. So me as a scientist, I have a scientist mindset. And if hundreds of my clients from all over the world, from all kinds of belief systems, religions, ethnic backgrounds, all of them have the same experiences. After the death, they leave the body and they go to the light. They have life review. They have chat with their spirit guides. They meet with their soul family, and then they plan another life. No matter what they consciously, as human, believe, in the expanded state, they describe the same things happening. So it's not about, it's like empirical observation in expanded states, down to describing even the places in afterlife, interlife, like library, school, healing place, resting place, cleansing place.
The room with the TVs.
Yes. So I will add to what you said about this light team. Light team is different from person to person, but this light team is participating in quantum sessions. People, when I ask them to, in this expanded state of mystical vision or astral vision or spiritual vision, I ask them, expand your consciousness and look around. Who is there with you in the room? And they usually start crying from love. Like it's also overwhelming
Mhm.
emotion, very high vibration emotion, when they feel this connection, that they are connected with these beings of light. And they describe angels, spirit guides, my higher self, my ancestors, all of them are here to support me on this journey that we are having,
Yeah.
And the content of the light team is different. For some, it can be more angelic. For some, can be extraterrestrial. I believe it or not, I had at least 3 reptilian souls, let's say. Souls that were based in reptilian civilization before coming to Earth. One of them in Australia, the reason why this soul came to this woman in Australia is to learn compassion. Not all reptilians are, in low vibration. Some of them are trying to go to high vibration. And she was helping a lot of people, in Australia. Somewhere in the, very rural part of Australia, northeast. And so this is also mind expanding, or for the listeners, that during the session we discover that the souls can be based on Earth. They can be here for hundreds of lifetimes, for thousands of years on this Earth, and basically the Earth become their home base at this time. But also we discovered very strange souls, very strange beings that are humans. For example, extraterrestrial of all kinds.
Yeah.
Not only from this universe, from alternative dimensions, alternative universes. Many of them lost their planet. Some kind of conflict or cataclysm. That's why they have no home, and they came to Earth. I had at least 2 beings that before coming as humans, they had body of a star, like a stellar body. Imagine body that is, for example, 400 times more bigger than Earth. So, and it was their first incarnation, according to what Dolores Cannon discovered about the plan of the Galactic Federation of Planets, to seed Earth with these high vibrational souls. This is some examples. So me as a scientist, I'm completely satisfied with my research, that what I read before in the books, now I experienced with my work, without any of I didn't suggest anything. The people are starting describing what they are experiencing in their expanded state.
Yeah.
So I was surprised when I started doing this. At the beginning, you need to be like you do for free as a practice. So I did, Facebook post, and I had like 30 people ready to have quantum session. And during these 30 sessions, it was like from books of Dolores Cannon, what they experienced, other memories of other life on other planets, telling me about that there is no time, that time is only in the simulation, because you need to experience loss, you need to experience passing of time. It's difficult, sadness. If the time would not be linear, you would not have these experiences, So everything is for a reason. I'm very grateful that what I do, I can ask people to be in their full potential, full power.
Yeah, I mean, doing this podcast is a lot like that. Every guest we have seems to just confirm the last in exactly what they're saying. Like, you are hitting a lot of the same exact points that we just spoke to our last guest with. It's really, for me, eye-opening, because I did not have any kind of traumatic experience to snap me into a spiritual awakening. I'm doing it slowly, very
Yes.
slowly.
This is your path. Don't
Yeah.
compare yourself. Don't compare yourself to others. It's not possible. It's not possible to compare, because how you can compare apple with a tree or apple with, I don't know, basket?
Hmm.
Everybody's unique energy.
Like fingerprints.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like our spiritual awakening is the same as our fingerprints. It's
Yes. And your path is also unique. So
Exactly.
if nobody understands you, that's completely fine.
Mhm.
It's important that you and your higher self are just walking whatever you need to walk.
Mhm.
Yeah. It took 40 years. I'm getting it.
What I have found is, since my awakening, and where it was like I'm completely tapped in kind of thing. And so trying to like use that power to guide my life in the right way. So it's almost like bumpers up in a bowling alley. You know, I feel like I've got bumpers up. So if I tend to get off, I'm very quickly like pushed back onto the path, is how it feels. I think that's probably with everyone. Lee, you were talking about lost souls. I think we do have bumpers that will get us back on the path that we're supposed to take. But I found like being able to connect with my higher self is that I personally, I feel like I'm just creating like my own heaven here on earth. And I think that we can all tap into that. And possibly part of it is I just don't pay attention to the bad stuff as much, but I really pay attention to the good stuff. And like gratitude, and just like really being grateful for all the stuff that I want and wish for and then come true. Like, how amazing is that? And so I open the day with like I have this root feeling and knowing in my heart that like everything always works out in my favor. That's like my mantra, you know? And then when I wake up, well, I read you should wake up like a child on Christmas morning, like what to expect, that the universe is going to do amazing things. And so I wake up and like, how is the universe going to delight me today? Because I feel like that's also just this amazing thing that when you really tap into your higher self, like your higher self wants the absolute best for you, you know? And that this lifetime can be really beautiful and fun if we allow for it. Of course, you know, there's tough stuff too, but that's what I've figured out. Alex Martin B, don't you think? It can be really fun here.
Yes, can be very fun. Can be really fun depending on what you plan for you. You know, so your mileage can vary.
True. That is true.
Good
That is true. I do think though, like if someone is having a life that maybe is difficult, I do think that you can change it. Don't you think? Even if like, maybe that's just because you're supposed to learn the lesson. So if you can identify the lesson that your higher self is trying to teach you and you can really learn it, then you can move on maybe and have better experiences.
I will give you a real extreme story about it.
I would love to hear it.
So I had a client from Dubai.
Okay.
Very successful businessman in automotive industry.
Okay.
Young, 25, and he was already millionaire, trading with China, with cars. And then COVID happened and everything fell apart. Complete like a bankrupt. Even more that he has so much debts to pay. He has some kind of job to support himself, but he will never pay this debt.
Right.
So he wanted to have a session to find out why he has to experience this. And this is not all. This is only one aspect. Another aspect is he helped his brother financially, you know, to have a job in his company. He didn't want any money from his father. His father was well to do, but he wanted to create his own wealth. So father was not helping him. So father and the brother even stole from him the last money he had.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my God.
The father didn't even needed it, you know? It was like a betrayal. He needed
Oh, horrible.
to experience betrayal.
Hmm.
Then he had 3 sons, about teenage, and ran away with these 3 sons into United States of America.
Oh, God.
So he was completely alone, betrayed, broke, and of course, the pet was telling him about suicide, you know, suicidal thoughts. Let's finish it. So remember that people who commit suicide, it's the mind that killed them.
Mhm.
So be careful with your pet.
Mhm.
No, higher self didn't tell you to kill yourself.
Right.
It was your mind. Okay, so we have a session, and the higher self took him to past life, where in medieval times he had a small band or army of people, and he was basically giving justice. It was in Europe. He had his mentor, like a spiritual teacher in the body that was guiding him. And whenever there was some kind of bad lord, bad prince, or that was mistreating people, they would come and take him out and install good person. So this was his life, like a Robin Hood, but in political arena, like a vigilante. So it was good life. He died from old age. Everything is fine. He went to the light, and the higher self showed him the scene when he was planning another life, this current life. The soul was wanting quicker progress. He progressed from this life of vigilante. He was very pleased with the progress of being, bringing justice and help to people. But the soul wanted more intense progress. So he prepared this project that he would have this terrible life that will be despair, betrayal. He will gain and lose everything. And he presented this project of this life to the Council of Light. Council of Light is like your mentors that are approving and guiding you what your further incarnation will be, what would be your next incarnation. They are like higher vibrational beings connected with the source. So they said, no, we cannot agree to that. You would not survive this. You will commit suicide. And the soul was actually arguing with them. Imagine, in the light, he's arguing, I want such progress. And they agreed, okay, we agree to this difficult life with despair, loneliness and so on, but only if you will have 3 sons. These 3 sons will prevent you from committing suicide.
Ah.
Wow.
And he agreed, okay, I will have 3 sons. And this is true that he won custody for 1 year, and he could spend 1 year with his sons, and it brought him very big joy and happiness, to show them, tell them about life, from the male perspective.
Yeah.
So now imagine me that I want to help him. I want to help everybody. But this is what he wants. The soul wants this very despair, bleak life in order to go through this and become stronger and wiser at the end of it. You cannot help him. If you give him money, if you give him family back, if you give him a prospering business and everything beautiful, this is not what he wanted.
So what do you do for him?
Nothing. You just give him clarity that it's now he after the session, I was thinking that he will rebel, that the mind will rebel, but he actually felt that this is true. He felt in his heart, yes, now I remember.
You help him accept it.
Yeah. So this is extreme. So as a human, using the human mind to understand how the soul thinks, how the soul perceives reality, we cannot understand it. Just so exotic and foreign.
It seems to me like almost the trick is to transmute the negative into a positive by going, what is this teaching me? What lesson here am I supposed to learn? And then being grateful to all of the people who've helped you along the way. Because, you know, sometimes I feel sad for the people who are playing the part of the bad guy, but we couldn't evolve if there weren't negative situations, you know? So it's almost like you also have to be grateful to the people who've stabbed you in the back and have done all those horrible things to you, because they helped propel you on your path.
Yeah, and in one life it'll also be you that horrible person stabbed
Exactly.
someone in the back.
Exactly. And we're just doing it to each other. So do you see us coming to a point of homeostasis where we're transcending the need to go back and forth with the lessons here on Earth? Do you think that we are transitioning to like the 5D kind of realm here? Is that what we're doing to raise the vibration? Like, where do you see this going? Or is it always just, this is Earth and this is a tough school and you go here for, you know, to learn your lesson?
Everything is evolving in the universe. Evolution and creation is happening all the time.
Constantly, right? Regeneration.
And it can go also in other direction, you know. So it can be evolution in the lower vibration. It all depends on the free will of the collective living here on the Earth.
Yeah.
So the plan after the Hiroshima nuclear bomb, the Galactic Federation of Planets saw the probability in the timelines that humans can destroy Earth, and this will create a very negative ripple effect through the universe, as you read in the 3 waves of volunteers. This is confirmed in my sessions. You know, I met such volunteers that were confused, lost as humans, and their higher self arranged the session for them. Actually, in few sessions, the higher self said that my session was pre-planned before they were born. It was like a part of their life plan, that it will be awakening, there will be activation. So it's all like ebb and flow, ebb and flow. We are very fixated here on this planet, but remember, this is only one of billions and billions of planets and dimensions and universes. It's just place, one place where you come, you know, and have some experiences. Of course, we don't want to do anything terrible, like destroying the planet and creating negativity for many other planets. That's why we are now having this infusion of high vibration souls incarnating as humans. And I see it all the time, you know, that the children are all more advanced high souls than the parents. And they are teaching the parents, you know, like 5 years old, telling the parent, oh, mama, there is no time, don't worry about it, you know, this is just a simulation, you know. And the mom is recording what is happening here. This is all according to the plan.
I find that you point out age is funny because me and my wife talk about all the time how there seems to be this hard line in, like, once you go past that mid 50 to 60, where a lot of these concepts are so hard for them to even just talk about, not understand, not internalize, just to talk about. Like if you bring up meditation, like for my example to my parents, it's nonsense. Like millions, hundreds of millions of people for hundreds of millions of years have been tapping into this, but just for you and your generation, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
It just seems that this one line through our culture, and I think also politically we see that a lot with this really divided world that we live in now, with this group of people that seem to be on one end wanting to heal and fix and move forward, and this other half that's just stuck in the old way and has no part in wanting to change or better themselves or the world around them.
Yeah.
This is part of the human experience, polarization, groups, creating groups. And this is according to the plan, this is part of the experience that demonize, and creating groups, judging, Part of the mindfulness and meditation is that you start to just be free from judging or having opinion about anything. You just observe. So I see somebody, having their experience. They have this experience. If it attacks my experience, I have right to defend it. I have my experience, my challenges, and I will defend it. But I am not going around and trying to change other people, because I know everything is in control. Everything is as it should be. So, for example, from the last session, the higher self told the lady that part of your troubles, part of the difficult moments in your life, your parents, for example, there was difficult parents. It was, you agreed to this, to grow as a soul. But also there are other parts of your life that you didn't listen to intuition. You listened to your mind, and you just chose these people that were bad for you, that created all this trauma and suffering unnecessarily. So, but this is also a lesson for you now, to listen to your intuition, So,
Exactly. There's nothing ever wasted, like every experience, there's something beautiful that can come of that, I think. But yeah, it's like if you're not listening, then that bumper gets maybe a little further away, and then you hit it, you really hit it hard. So I'm trying to more be softer in bumping and trying to stay in the center lane. Strike at the end, So where do you see Earth in 20 years?
Okay, so there are timelines, infinite number of timelines. Of course, I cannot describe them all.
Right.
In some timelines, the Earth will be destroyed by humans. In some timelines, there will be new Earth. Old systems will crumble.
Yeah.
In some timelines, it will be in between. It's infinite possibilities. When I was doing remote viewing, this was the problem with future. You could see any future. And the most visible future was the most dramatic or emotionally charged. So, for example, people saw earthquake in, let's say, some place. It was huge in remote viewing, but they saw the most charged future that is there. It's there.
Right. There's the potential for them.
But we didn't go on this timeline. You actually, everybody is hopping at least once a day from timeline to timeline. When we come back to the body after the night sleep, we come back to the body, and we are choosing which timeline we are getting into according to our plans, our karma and so on. Of course, it cannot be very dramatic, like you are in a different house. It is gradual change, but it's happening. So your intention, your vibration as a being
Mm-hmm.
creates your reality, in which timeline you are.
Mm-hmm.
So actually everything in the so-called future, in the so-called past, everything is now.
Mm-hmm.
And the mind is,
Yeah.
you cannot understand it with the mind, you can understand it with your soul mind. And you go to meditation with this intention to just absorb this reality, that everything is now, so-called future, so-called past, infinite number of timelines is now, existing now.
Yeah.
Then you are free from any anxiety about the future,
Right.
because you are choosing your
Creating it. Yeah.
it's already there. For example, there was a spiritual hypnotherapist. I think he's now 70, 80 years old. Bruce Goldberg. He lives in California, I think. He was doing regressions. His specialization was regressions into the future. People came to him with problems.
Okay.
Usual, unexplained physical and mental problems. And what he did, the higher self took them to the future life.
Really?
In the futuristic earth, that something happened, not in that so-called past. And after they processed it, healed it, the symptoms were gone. So,
like rewriting it from knowing how it ends.
future and past is the same. It's now. And actually, recently, last year, I don't remember his name, but this is a quantum theoretical physicist, Israeli, and experimentally, it's not theoretical anymore. Experimentally, they noticed that when you influence the subatomic particle in quantum mechanics, it doesn't only change its future, it's also changing the past of this particle. And this is like new. This is this year, last year, the experiments. So for me, it's a way for people who are stuck in the reason and using the intellect only. It's like a bridge. It can be like a bridge that to understand that time is really an illusion. For the reason of training in human experience, of loss, change, time destroys things. Everything falls apart, bodies falls apart. It's part of the experience. But when you start going very deeply into the quantum mechanics, you also understand that the time is really flowing in both directions. And the mind is creating this illusion of linear time flowing in one direction because of the human, we need to have the human experience.
Right.
So fascinating.
I know.
Take it a little bit more sci-fi. Have you spoken to any more beings than reptilians and human incarnates? Have you talked to anybody that's from anywhere else or takes physical form in a different body besides human or reptilian?
Okay, so again, disclaimer. The creation is so vast that what we are talking about is just like less than 0.000000001% of we know reptilians, we know demonic entities, angelics, but there is so much more. And now I remember one session. Actually, this session is, some of the sessions are so interesting that I asked the person if they want to share it.
Really?
And they agreed, some of them agreed. And these sessions are on my YouTube channel, where you can see it as it is, how they are experiencing it in the session, in the trance. So on my YouTube channel, you can watch them. So one of them, I remember the like a mermaid type being in another planet, but it was shapeshifter. When they were in the water, they had this half human, half fish, but when they went on the land, they could shapeshift to normal legs.
Okay.
Wow.
And they were invaded. It was different universe. Later, I asked higher self, was it in this universe? Because it was so terrifying, like what they described. What they described is, it was like a peaceful planet, contact with nature. Of course, the color of the sky was different. It was like pinkish purple. It was different, like completely. It was not Earth. Very different. And there was invasion of beings that were very powerful telepathic manipulators. She described it as like a black mass traveling through universe and could control others by the power of the mind. And in this way, they were conquering planets one by one in this universe and eating whatever it was on the planet.
Wow.
And nobody could defend against them because they had such power.
Yeah.
And what happened, I asked, so we went through the life, they died, they planet fell, to these invaders, and the soul went to the light, interlife. And then I spoke with the higher self about it, because it was so terrifying. And the higher self said it was different universe. And what happened, and it was very, very, very long ago, like billions and billions years ago, human years. And they said, what happened in this universe, this entity, like a hive entity, it just devoured, ate all the plants in the universe, become so big. And then it died of hunger because couldn't eat anymore.
Wow.
And the universe collapsed.
Wild.
That's so cool.
You could create a movie out of it.
Oh yeah, totally.
Seriously. That's wild.
It's just endless. I feel like you said, it's 0.001 of infinite number. I've also heard that a lot of current human incarnates are past Mars beings before Mars was destroyed. So a lot of us have like cosmic soul connections with Mars.
Yes, everything is possible. Venus. What we see with all energy has vibration. We have visible spectrum, but also there are radiation that is not visible to the human eyes. And we know it about the radiation. Light, ultraviolet, X-ray. All kinds of signals that we cannot see with human eye. And there are higher even than physical matter. There are higher vibration energies. So the planets that we see as barren, without anybody, they can be actually occupied by the beings that don't have physical bodies.
Mhm.
They have energy bodies, and they can be, energetical nature, energetical civilization that we cannot see from this dense, low vibration bodies.
Yeah.
And this also is not theoretical, because I had this in my sessions.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, I
What I'm telling you today, I'm telling you from the sessions, what people experience, and this is in line with so many books of other practitioners, like Dolores Cannon, but she's
Mhm.
not only one.
No.
Michael Newton is another one. Michael Newton, PhD, was exploring specifically what happens between lives, very in detail.
Oh.
His work, like 50 years old, 50 years research, methodical, people in trance were describing in detail what is happening between lives. Very scientific. So I recommend, it's very good reading, very expanding. Michael Newton book, Journey of Souls. Actually, there is audiobook free on YouTube.
Okay.
6 hours, you can listen to it. Journey of Souls.
I'll check that out. That's right up my alley.
You will have a lot of information, why we have such difficulties in life. What Jamie was telling us about that the person can play negative character in your life. In the light, in interlife, it can be your best friend, your soulmate. But the
Right.
soul helps you to, for example, learn forgiveness, how to forgive. And you cannot forgive if you have nothing to forgive about. So your best friend, soulmate, will come and will play the worst enemy, nemesis, for you, in order for you to have this opportunity to forgive.
That's like, that's love.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's difficult role. It's very difficult role, because they love you, and they will make suffering for you.
And
But
sacrifices to help you grow. That's very beautiful. I like thinking of it in that way.
Yeah.
That we're
It's
all
another way.
on the other side.
All about
there's
compassion.
not anything dividing us. We're all one, And I feel like, well, I teach high school, and I will, far and away, the students that I have, they're evolved souls in ways that today I had a passion project turned in by a student, and it was talking all about spirituality and all of this stuff that we're talking about. She's talking about it in her passion project. She's 17. And these kids, they've incarnated with the knowledge, and they haven't forgotten very much of it.
Mm-hmm.
Very impressive. And what I find is that at that age, it's very common to be more egocentric at that age, right? As a teenager, we were more concerned about, what boy was cute, who was wearing what, who's going to the football game on Friday. That was about as far as we got about worrying about stuff. Kids today, they are worried about like humanity as a whole.
Yep.
Want to do better and be better. And so I just find that absolutely fascinating, that it's just accelerating the evolution. And I think that we're all here just to wake each other up. And so it's almost like we're becoming the sentient AI. And so once we're self-aware, once you're aware of the game, then you can manipulate the game. So is it just we're all becoming aware enough where like, okay, new game?
Yes. So in the quantum sessions, when the parents were in the expanded state, and they had questions to higher self about their kids, how to help and raise them the best way. Very often the higher self said that don't worry about them, you know, they are very advanced and they came to teach you.
Yeah. And I have kids, and Lee
Definitely,
has Josh's
yes.
child. It is true. I mean, the greatest lessons I've ever learned were taught to me by my children.
Yep.
The greatest gift in the world. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe this will be interesting also for your viewers about spirit possession.
Yes.
Okay. This is interesting.
It's not in the movies only, it's reality.
Mm-hmm.
People come to me with real symptoms that they are hearing voices, they are feeling blocked, they have very strange physical symptoms like dementia, Alzheimer, and the body is 20 or 30, for example, or heart pain. They go to do the test, and everything is fine on the test. So, you know, so-called phantom symptoms, but they are very real for the person.
Yeah.
And in the expanded state, before we start quantum session, this is what my higher self taught me, that before we start journeying in astral, in time and space, we need to check up on the person for any blockages, any attached spirits that will be blocking or distorting whatever will happen next. And this can be shocking for your listeners, but since 1970s, when this branch of psychology started, holistic spirit release methodology, hundreds of practitioners of spirit release, starting from Edith Fior PhD, estimate is that 70% of human population, have at least one attached spirit, based on thousands of clinical cases from different practitioners over 50 years. These are the statistics. So this is part of the human experience. It's not rare. And it doesn't mean that you are evil or bad, that you have that spirit. There is a lot of misunderstanding on this subject. So I'm hoping now to make it more relatable or more like down to earth, because it's down to earth. Okay, so the spirit, attached spirit to the person, creates all these symptoms. What is attached spirit? It's a lost soul that after the death of the body, they didn't go to the light. They didn't go through the tunnel because they were attached to a house or the person, or they were afraid of going to hell or any judgment, guilt, shame, fear. Create attached spirits, lost souls. So you see how the insertion of fear into religion created this. When we encounter the client is in the expanded state, and they start, for example, in this expanded state, you are very sensitive what is happening in your system, not only in your physical body, but also in your chakras, your meridians. You feel everything. And they start, and I ask them this technique: start scanning your body as like an X-ray from top of your head slowly through your whole body, and tell me if you notice anything. And they start telling me, oh, and I never spoke about spirits. This is important. They don't come to me for spirit release. They come to me for past life.
Right.
Okay, so we are not talking. I'm not suggesting anything. And they say, for example, oh, I feel like I have like a lump, like a black or gray lump in my throat, for example. So I tell them, okay, so let's zoom in and let's look at this lump. What is it? You know, does it have a voice? Does it want to tell you something? And depending on the spirit, some spirits are reluctant. They don't want to be discovered. Some spirits want to be discovered. They want to be helped. Remember, the spirits are like you and me, lost, and then stuck with another person. So some of them wants to just get unstuck and go home to the light.
Mhm.
So let's say I say to does this lamp has a voice? If it has a voice, let this lamp speak. And then this energy starts to speak. And I ask, are you male or female energy? And they say male or female. What is your name, please? I'm Alex. And they say some name. What is year for you? And they say some year that they died. They are still in this time. The oldest spirit I found was the year 1011.
Wow.
He was lost thousand years.
Wow.
So he was killed by missionaries, the Christian missionaries, and he was like a druid.
Oh my gosh.
They burned him on stake. So and I converse with this spirit. Has different personality than the person. So let's say the client is a woman and the spirit is a male, and it has different way of speaking, different formulations of words. And I treat the spirit as a secondary patient, and I try to help the spirit go to the light. So I have different techniques how to convince the spirit to just connect with family and friends waiting for him or her in the light. And it usually works. Also, I ask the spirit to look within, to encounter the spark of light within. So after the spirit is gone, the symptoms are gone. It can be also from family. Very often it's from family.
I was going to say, do the spirits usually have an attachment to the person that they're stuck with?
Not usually, no. What happens? For example, brother that committed suicide. Now I remember one session. There was a woman from Oman, and she had this very strange feeling in the arm, and it turned out that her brother who committed suicide, she didn't know that he committed suicide. There was an accident on the motorcycle, and after he left the body, he was very attached to her. So he came to just hug her last time, and he got stuck. He was very young soul, like an unexperienced soul, so he didn't know that you got stuck. And he was in her arm. So he loved him very much. And this was very emotional for her. When he started talking that it was suicide, that I ended my life, it was even more emotional for her. And we sent him to the light. We sent him home. People are afraid of it. I was afraid of it, like the idea of spirits, demons, like I never watched any horrors all my life. So the fact that I am doing this now is because I don't have any fear. I was not programmed by the movies.
Right.
When you are afraid of something, you are giving power to it.
That's so true. And with this, they can just go on. And I think it's very respectful, it seems. That's what you're doing,
Nobody else can help them.
It almost reminds me of like a trapped animal, like a wild animal who's got caught, like its paw caught in a bear trap or something, where, you're trying to save the cougar or whatever that got trapped. The cougar is lashing out at you, but once you get the thing off its paw, then it can run away and be healthy again.
usually the spirits are not antagonistic towards me. They are afraid sometimes
Yeah.
what will happen because it's change, but very quickly, I don't know, maybe they see my aura, they see my energy,
Okay.
they feel not intimidated. I'm not fighting them. I'm not there to cast them out like in exorcism in Catholic Church. I see them as a secondary patient who is lost without the body.
It's very beautiful.
So the most encounters a person can have up to hundreds of spirits attached.
Oh, wow.
Every spirit is taking energy, draining energy. So the greatest number that I personally had was above 100, and the higher self could release them in bulk. We didn't have to talk with each of them. We had the helpers of the white light to join us, the spirit team, and all of them were, released in group. But the drainage of the energy on the human was huge. And when the spirits are draining your energy, your body doesn't have power to be healthy, to ward off any pathogen or any, challenges that you have, unless you are a very strong soul. But normally you have weak health, you have immunity disorder, you feel chronically fatigued, and nobody can help you. Doctors cannot help you, herbal supplements cannot help you, because the cause or the origin is spiritual. After the spirits are gone, suddenly the body is full of energy. So these are the usual 95%. What we encounter as external attached spirit is the human that got lost and then attached. And how they get attached. This is important, because it's not about being afraid. Don't be afraid of them. It's about, I asked them, how did you attach to her or him? What was the opening? And they say, for example, oh, she was sad, she was feeling lonely, or he was drinking a lot, or he was taking drugs. When you are taking drugs or have very intense low vibration emotion, your aura becomes porous or with holes, or stop working altogether, depending on for example, drugs. So, for example, people who don't know what they are doing, even with spiritual motivation of doing ayahuasca or peyote without any guidance or protection, they are opening up completely, and any wandering spirit can attach. And actually, so how can you protect yourself? Avoid low vibration emotions, avoid drugs, excessive drinking, and vibrate higher, and in the same way as you go out into the rain with umbrella, not if you are afraid of rain, you can go into the rain, no problem. It's just inconvenient to become wet. In the same way, you can every day, when you wake up, put like a shield of light around you from the source, God. Imagine that you are filled with the light of source, white light, and also it expands all around you like a cocoon, and you are like this protected, and also before you go to sleep. And this should be enough to protect you from any accidental attachment.
Okay.
Follow your intuition. Follow your intuition. If your intuition is telling you that, for example, there are a lot of people that are having an attachment, attachments they gathered from their clients. Let's say they are healers, teachers, or a spiritual worker, and they have a lot of attachments. They are ignorant about them, and then they work with somebody else, and this attachment can jump. For example, not only during sexual intercourse, when the both auras are merged, you are merging your energies together, so everything is together, and the attachment can jump. But even during meditation in the same room, if you are with person that has low vibration, and you are meditating together in one room, one attachment told me, one spirit told me that they jumped at this time.
Wow. That's why I don't like group meditation.
Bring your protection of light everywhere. Whenever you go anywhere into, like it's raining all the time. This is such planet. It's raining, and you can have hitchhikers.
Right. That makes sense.
I had people who were very positive, from the young age. I remember this one Swedish girl, let's say 25, and she was from the young age doing all kinds of stuff, new age, esoteric, spiritual, without any protection. She was saying, "Oh, I will think positively, nothing will happen to me." But now I couldn't help her because the spirits that were with her already took over her physical body. She couldn't control her hands, for example. The hands were moving all the time in different symbols. And these spirits were not positive. They were not invited. They are creating a lot of problems for her. She's very confused. She's managing, but it's the full possession is in progress.
So what do you do for her?
What we can do for her? Well, if I remember correctly, what I did for her, I did an automatic writing session with her higher self to get the information what's happening. And her higher self told me that this is her agreement, that she agreed to have this, and she will get out of it. But now we need to leave her as it is. This is what I got.
But that's hers to.
Yeah.
Maybe it's also for me to use her as an example that positive thinking is not enough.
Wow.
If you go with positive thinking into, dark alley in New York,
right,
it's different to be afraid, and it's different to be cautious.
Right.
Without this paralyzing low vibration energy.
Right. Yeah.
So we accept that this planet is like this, and I am cautious. I am not afraid. And actually, I was under attack. I was under psychic attack. I almost died. I almost left the body. It was a lesson for me.
Really?
I couldn't breathe. I woke up at 3 a.m. and I couldn't breathe. When I started breathing, I had terrible pain in my chest. First time in my life. It was 2 years ago. It was my lesson. Why? Well, we are coming now to the other type of attached spirits that are not so often encountered, but they are nonetheless. These are dark force entities that never had human life, so-called demons. There are also in people, and of course their vibration is much lower, very negative. I didn't want to believe it, I didn't want to accept it, because Dolores Cannon said, "Oh, you need to just think positively." But higher self arranged sessions for me that I had to deal with these, and I had to learn about them. And I know Dolores Cannon didn't want any negativity, but for some reason, this is my path, to do this work and give education, information about it. If you don't want it, maybe it will not happen to you. But if it happens to you, then you will have some information. Okay, so the demonic entities, when we encounter them, they are from the start, they are threatening to kill me, to kill the patient, to do terrible things. They are very vulgar, cussing, and creating pain in the patient, like under the exorcist, in different varieties. Every demon is different. Many of them are just like spoiled brats, teenager brats. They are not very, they don't have wisdom, they don't have knowledge, they are just indoctrinated and twisted into creating as much pain and suffering as possible. Imagine like a teenager, raised in the criminal family of murderers, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they never had a human body, and they are considering humans as trash. They see humans as something to play with, to create suffering as much as possible. They are trained to do that. And actually, they are easier to remove than earthbound spirits that I mentioned before.
Really?
They just can be picked out from the body by Archangel Michael. I work with Archangel Michael. And they are just picked out, cut the cords, and taken to the light also for reformation. But sometimes there is agreement. There is agreement between the patient, client, and the dark entity from other lives. Darkness in the past offered them something, and they agreed. And now they have this bondage. And in one case, the agreement was in the ancient Greece. The lady in ancient Greece was offered by the priestess of Apollo. By the way, Apollo is a dark being, low vibration being in astral dimension. It's nothing good. The priestess offered her she was like a young woman with family and husband. She was dancing and singing in the Apollo temple, and the priestess approached her that we will have a ritual, and through this ritual you can have great knowledge and you can see the future. If you are interested, that starts tomorrow in the night. And she agreed. She was seduced by the power of knowing the future. And the ritual involved cutting your hand and putting your blood into the pit of snakes as an offering to Apollo. And it was done. And in the next life, she actually became oracle. The higher self showed us like a short situations that she could understand the lesson. It was the lesson about being seduced by darkness. That doesn't come to you as devil. Darkness comes to you as a innocent somebody. It's by trickery. Yes. So she became a oracle. So the deal was done on the part of the darkness. In the next life, she was powerful, rich, respected. The kings were asking for advice, and she actually saw the most probable future. So she was very successful. And the way how she get into trance to see the future, I don't recommend it. Don't try it at home. They actually brought the dead bodies of the soldiers of opposite army. They burned them, and she was inhaling the smoke of burning bodies of the opposite.
Gross, really?
And when she remembered that, she said exactly the same. How I could be part of it? How I could agree to that?
Right, yeah.
This is so gross. This is so horrible. How I can do that? So after this lifetime, after this lifetime, there were many lifetimes when she was sacrificed to Apollo as a young girl, raped, burned alive on the altars, life after life,
Wow.
until this lifetime. She's a woman in America trying to do anything good, but everything around her is darkness. Her family is bent on destroying her, bad luck all around, everything that she's trying turns into dust. No luck in anything. So this was the agreement. But because everything is now, this is all happening now. She's doing this ritual now
Right.
in ancient Greece. So we went there with her guides, her higher self, and we spoke with the young woman that was about to get into the ritual. Told her what will happen if she goes to the ritual. And we told her, go back to your husband and child and don't come back to this temple. And she believed us and she came back. So we undone this timeline.
Yeah.
And the lady, after 3 months, contacted me and told me everything changed. No more bad luck. I moved out from my family. I restarted my life. And my business of bakery going very strong, very nice. It's a miracle.
Yeah, that's a miracle for sure. That's
a miracle. That's beautiful.
But it's like Jamie said, we just did a time travel episode, and it's right along the lines of like the theory. If you go back on your timeline to the point, then that's when you would be creating a whole new universe, and all your decisions would be different from there.
Yes.
Wild.
So I'm using this only like before that. In the young days, it was like fascinating for me. Like fascinating. To know this, to think about the possibilities. And now I am doing it as a therapy, not only about, mentally thinking about it, but actually making a difference. So I'm encouraging your listeners and you to set intention, if you wish, to get guidance from your higher self, how to make a difference. You are making difference by making this podcast. That's for sure. But also be open to something that you cannot imagine now. That is good for you. But what I'm doing now, I'm assuring you, it was beyond my imagination. I couldn't even imagine this, and I'm doing it now because I was following my intuition.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make a difference. And I'm now doing the ripple effect. I'm helping this person, and this person helps how many people? So it's a ripple effect.
And you're helping us here.
Totally. Yeah, very fascinating. I have a lot more questions about like astral projection and lucid dreaming. Maybe we could have you back on another point and kind of just focus on those two things.
And remote viewing thing.
Yeah, remote viewing and lucid dreaming. I have a lot of questions about that stuff, but I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your work. I think what you're doing is invaluable to society in general right now. It's very important.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Alex, do you have anything going on right now that you want to plug?
Yes, I would like to invite people that would like to know more to connect with my Facebook. I am posting almost every day some tidbits of information from my sessions. And also, if you want to see my website and past sessions that I recorded, you can watch them. And also some kind of information about what I already learned on my website. But also you can have a free half-hour consultation with me. During this consultation, if you have any blockages, if you have anything that you feel you cannot move, further in your progress, I can assist you to find out what is there. It can be other life, it can be attached spirit, it can be implant, energetical implant, or any type of spiritual or energetical cause for this blockage. And even during half hour, we can work on it. The healing can start. So feel free to contact me through my website, set up the consultation, and let's see what happens.
Awesome. I'll have all that information linked below. You can go down, you can find, I'll put your YouTube as well, because I was checking out your YouTube, and again, absolutely fascinating. Some of those regressions are really cool to listen to.
Oh, thank you so much. This was fascinating and just riveting and dense, and I love it. Thank you so much.
Okay, so thank you very much. Namaste, and hopefully we can see each other again.
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful.
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you so much.
All right. We'll see you
Bye.
later. Bye, Alex. So, like you just said, we have a really cool interview. It was fascinating. So let me backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
We've been doing this for a little while now.
Mhm.
We've come in contact with multiple people with
Mhm.
varying gifts. I find some of them are, maybe it's personal, or are easier to absorb than others, but he was very palatable for me personally. He said himself, he says he's very scientific based, and you mentioned it while we were talking. It really connects everything that we do here together in like a nice little bow.
Seriously. Yeah, consciousness and remote viewing and possessions and all sorts of things.
Yeah, I was not expecting the possession.
I wasn't expecting that.
was
So
a
yeah.
little surprise I liked.
Like, wait, hold on a second. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
But yeah, it all makes sense. Everything he was saying makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So, and also I'm also thinking if me, like, just a few years ago, I wouldn't even understand what he was talking about. It would just have gone way over my head.
I would say for me a few months ago.
Yeah,
I started the beginning of the year.
It's a little above my head, but it pretty much I'm getting it.
Yeah. Well, it's like falling into a file cabinet. It's like all these papers are everywhere for us, and every time we meet a guest, it gets put into a file and put into the drawer, and now it's organized, and I can like reference it in life. Like I have to thank Natasha. I have used her like energy protection multiple times.
That's wonderful.
And it makes me feel better. I used it the other night at my daughter's recital. So thank you, Natasha, if you're listening.
Yeah, I had a student the other day who was really anxious about testing, and she came in a little early, was crying a little bit. And we talked about some stuff, and I told her also, I was like, have a semi-permeable shield, know what you're going to let in and let out, and 360 all around you. Just imagine this beautiful light that protects you. And she got it. She did. I think it did help.
I think you're to credit for this. Some of our guests are credit for this. Like I actually told this to my wife a couple days ago. She was going through a little bit of a time. And you had recommended to me, and I think Aether, one day, give yourself one day where you don't tell yourself this isn't real. Give yourself one day where you just believe and you're whole 100% in. And that day makes a difference, I think, because again, all these little pieces. He brought up a really good little antidote for your inner self. Check out his YouTube. I really have found it interesting. They're long, so set yourself some time. But he said it himself in our interview, he does not lead these people. They are channeling all this naturally, which is
amazing.
super cool.
I love it. It's so cool.
Yeah. All right, Jamie, thank you
so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We appreciate you. We love the support.
Yeah.
If you have anything you want to share with us, ssospodcast@gmail.com. Otherwise, check out our social medias. All the links and everything will be down below. Subscribe, like, notifications. I'm doing Josh's job. Where are you?
The
I'm
man
kidding. I
is-
love you. I love you.
How dare he?
He's doing the important work of America.
Right. We miss you, Josh.
We miss
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. We'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you would like to join us as a guest, suggest a topic, or have a story you want us to share, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at ssospodcast@gmail.com. For more behind-the-scenes updates and exclusive insights about SSOS, make sure to follow us on social media. And don't miss out on the fun. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, thank you for listening to the Secret Society of Strangers podcast. This show is an independent production, researched and crafted by our passionate team. But we couldn't do it without all of you. We truly appreciate your support. Embrace the unknown, for not all secrets are meant to be kept. Farewell, strangers.